After completing a series of different productions for my AS Media project, I found I was already fairly comfortable with using many of the technologies required for my promotional package, such as Photoshop, Excel or Microsoft Word. However, I was presented with the new task of filming and editing, which I knew was going to be a challenge, as I had very limited experience in this area. During the planning stage of my project, it was essential that I collected all of my primary and secondary research and organised it in a way that would be beneficial to me and clear to understand if I needed to go back to it. I used Microsoft Word to present my textual analyses, using text box and arrows to clearly highlight which areas I was referring to. I also used this program to create my questionnaires, which I distributed out to a sample of my target audience. After I gathered my results, I input them into Excel, which enabled me to create pie charts to display the figures in a clear and simple way. It also allowed me to interpret and analyse the data, which was beneficial during the production process. I used a digital camera to capture the images for my location and mise-en-scène research, a very important part of my planning, as it showed me what I needed for my final production. As the planning stage progressed, I felt I needed to create a mood board which would provide me with the inspiration that I needed to develop a creative idea for my new film. Therefore, I used the internet to collect different images and ideas from the horror genre and installed them onto Photoshop, where I was able to crop and blend them all together. I also used this program to design different flat plans for my poster and website, which would help me when it came to creating the final layout. By looking at a range of potential ideas, I could choose which one I preferred and which one I wanted to develop for my own production. I used polls on WordPress blog to gain quick and simple research. Having never used a video camera before, I found this the hardest part. It was important that I had to make the white balance setting right because I needed the footage to look realistic. I also had to adjust the sound setting to ensure I captured the right amount of sound for my scene. I used Log and Capture to transfer the files onto the Mac, and I used Final Cut Pro to edit my footage. This was industry standard software which allowed me to edit to a professional standard. One advantage was that it allowed for non-linear editing, meaning I didn't have to go out and film all in one go, or in chronological order. I could simply put all the scenes together seamlessly. A handy tool which I used was the razor blade tool, allowing me to cut and edit each shot and move it around the timeline. The advantage of this was that I could accurately cut a certain sequence and adjust it to my preference. Next, I decided to create effects in certain scenes in the trailer. I decided to make the reviews expand so they got bigger the longer they were on the screen, almost jumping out at the audience. By making the dimensions smaller and then creating the pen mark to make them bigger again, I could adjust the size and speed in which the text moved. I added a recording symbol in the top right-hand corner, which made the footage appear as though it was an extract from a real handheld camera documentary, increasing the sense of realism. It was important to add sound effects to the trailer, and I used a program called GarageBand for this. GarageBand is a vast library of sound effects, and I chose an effect called Thunderroll, as it was the most conventional to my genre. I also used an effect called Wind, which I had running beneath the dialogue throughout the entire trailer. I converted both effects to MP3 files, and I imported them to Final Pro. Using these sound effects, I was able to alter their pitch and volume, adjusting them where necessary using the pen tool. Photoshop played a significant role in the production of my print-based products. Although having previous experience with the software, I have still learnt new things, such as how to create scan lines on my imagery. Also, using internet research, I was able to create a silhouette using the image blending tools and the gradients. The program also enabled me to carry out complicated procedures that I would not have normally been able to do, and this massively improved the overall layout of my products. For my evaluation, I used a dictaphone to record myself before converting the file and uploading it onto the computer, where I could open it up onto Final Cut Pro. I then used screenshots and images to create a presentation, developing the skills I had already gained throughout the project so far.